Hi and welcome. In this class, we are going to focus on the lung meridian and the large intestine meridian. So this is a pair. They always come in a yin and yang pairing. The lung meridian runs through the body. We're going to focus on the surface channels of the meridians in these classes. So the lung meridian kind of pops out right about here. If you kind of roll your shoulders in a little bit, you've got like a deep pocket where you can stick your fingers in. And that's where the meridian pops out and comes down through the inner part of the arm and then ends at the outside edge of the thumbnail on both arms. The large intestine meridian starts at the inside edge of the index finger nail and kind of runs along somewhat of the inside part of the finger, crosses over right into this point here, and then travels up along kind of the top of the arm, right? And then it does this little dip near the elbow. It comes up, runs across essentially the top parts of the shoulders, up the front of the neck. It starts to move up into the front, kind of comes around the mouth, crosses across the top lip, and ends on opposite sides of the nose, just right about in here. So I want to spend a minute showing you some pressure points that you can massage before or during this practice. Just massaging them for about a minute before the practice really starts to waken them up a little bit. All right, so we talked a little bit about that dip in the shoulder area. So you can kind of roll the shoulders forward and find that deep point where you can stick your fingers in and really massage. Now that can be really tender. The lung meridian is associated to a lot of respiratory problems, asthma or bronchitis, any other of the respiratory afflictions that we can get. It also tends to lead to depression and anxiety. There's a lot of sadness and grief that also can get out of balance if the lung meridian isn't flowing properly. So it's not about not experiencing grief or sadness ever again. It's about really becoming resilient. We want to create resilience in these organ systems and in our body parts. So by waking up the meridian system through these classes and with these simple pressure points, you can start to create a sense of balance in them so that your lungs can become more resilient to respiratory problems or grief or sadness or depression. So you want to massage this area for about a minute, and hopefully it's really tender. You can really find that spot in there. And then for the large intestine meridian, best pressure point you can find is that spot where it crosses, kind of comes from the inside of the hand and then crosses over the thumb here. So you just squeeze that location, give that a good little massage. Ow! Really get in there. It's not going to feel good. You can even start to feel like maybe a little bit of that kind of tendon tightness in there and just start to squeeze that. So give both hands a good massage. It might feel different on the other hand, but give them a good massage for about a minute. And then we'll get started with the practice, okay? So for this pairing of the lung and large intestine meridian, we're going to start in caterpillar. So go ahead and keep the feet about hip width apart here, and if it's only tight on the backs of the legs, bend the knees, get your blocks under there so you back off of the hamstrings and allow the pelvis to tilt forward. And just come as far forward as you can with a nice long spine, and start to reach the arms forward. You can let the head hang. Even if you're up on a block or, a little bit further away from the legs, reach the arms forward. So you're starting to compress into that little pocket where it pops out, the lung meridian, and getting some extension along the large intestine meridian. And I'll start my timer here. Breathe fully. And relax the jaw. Remember, yin isn't about stretching. It's getting into the joints and creating either compression or extension with the meridians. You're always welcome to back off a little bit if that allows you to focus on the arms and reaching the arms forward more. And let the head hang. That gives some really nice compression along the front of the neck. And the large intestine meridian comes up. And last few breaths here. And use the hands to slowly begin to walk the torso up to vertical. Take the hands back behind you, get some length along the front of the body. Now you're getting extension in that part of the shoulder and some compression on the back side of the shoulders. Let the head drop back, lots of length along the front of the neck. Nice. Go ahead and come onto the belly. Now when we come into this belly twist, this really gets into the shoulders. So remember, we're focusing on these two meridians, even though we're going to feel it everywhere else. But pay attention to what's happening in the front of the shoulder and the back of the shoulder. So we'll start with that. Right hand out to the side, turn the head in the opposite direction. You can put a block under the head if that gives the neck a little bit of support, and start to step back behind you with the left foot, okay? Now, make sure you keep the palm down so that you have external rotation of the arm that's extended. You can use this other hand for a little bit of leverage to kind of keep you in place. Now we've got lots of extension in the lung meridian, some compression for the large intestine meridian. Usually when we're in a yin practice or yoga practice, we are thinking about how tight our hamstrings are, or wanting to open the hips or opening the heart. If we focus on the shoulder girdle here and really get into the joint, the shoulder joint, that's going to free up a lot of other parts of the body. We can store grief and sadness here. I'm going to just let these feelings come, and without attaching anything to them, just know that it's part of the human experience. Get these energy channels flowing more freely. And we'll stay here for about 1 more minute. And we'll start to roll onto the belly. You can turn the head to the other side. We'll just take a couple of breaths here. And take the left arm out to the side. And start to step back behind you. You can tuck the block under the head, or if it's okay on the mat, then leave it there. It's always important to notice how the two sides are different, rather than expecting them to be the same. They won't ever be the same. We are built different from side to side. So it's more of a learning process, understanding the differences, so that you know how to work with each side, how to communicate with them. Relax the jaw. Notice how the body moves as you breathe. Notice how the body moves as you breathe. And last few breaths here. All right, slowly start to roll on. Sorry about that. Slowly start to roll onto the belly. Make a pillow with your hands and turn the head to the other side. All right, yogis, bring the hands alongside the rib cage. Lift the hips and sink the hips back to the heels for child's pose, just for a couple of breaths here. And start to bring the torso up. Swing the legs around to the front. And lie on the back for Shavasana. So really easy sequence to wake up these channels. And you can even here in Shavasana maybe give the large intestine meridians another little massage. Dig into the lung meridian here just for a moment. Gives a couple of circles, one direction and then the other. And then take a deep inhale. You can almost feel the energy moving through the arms here. And gently begin to deepen the breath. And take a few deep breaths here. And observe if you can take the breath a little bit deeper down into the lower part of the ribs. Let the ribs expand out to the sides as you inhale. And take one more deep breath here. And start to move fingers and toes. Circle the ankles and wrists. Roll the arms and legs in and out. And turn the head to one side and then the other. A big stretch up overhead. Hug the knees to the chest. Roll all the way over onto your left side. And come on up to a seated position. Let's take a moment here to observe the effects of your practice. And it really can be this simple. The attention on just one pair of meridians and a little bit of attention to those key pressure points will make a world of difference in your practice. Namaste.